Welcome to the Spearo Hangout, where we talk all things spearfishing, freediving and foraging. We're three guys from Devon in the UK who are excited to share some of the learnings from our spearfishing journey with you over the coming episodes. We bring in some special guests along the way to help spread some in-depth Spearo knowledge from some of the most experienced people in the scene. Hey buddy, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? You all right?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Really sorry that friend Anthony can't make it tonight.
Well, some people might be happy about that.
That's true. I guess our guests will get a bit of an easy ride tonight.
Well, the guests certainly will, that's for sure. I actually had someone mention the other day to me that I should nickname Anthony Jeremy Clarkson.
I can see some similarity there. I don't know if he'd be offended or excited by that though.
Well, yeah, he'd be excited, but I think the listener was referring to him being a blabbering idiot. I found it highly amusing. Probably a good time to put that out there now while he's not here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're not going to get him to edit this one, are we?
No, I'm
after the
editing
mistakes
this one
in the last couple of episodes.
Oh yeah, sorry about
that.
Yeah, we won't let Anthony near it again. Talk's a talk, but you know.
Only joking, Anthony.
Yeah, we love you, mate. So, what have you been up to this week, mate?
Oh, not a huge amount, mate. I did get out for a little dive last night, though.
With your new boyfriend,
New boyfriend, yeah. We went to, I better not say where. It doesn't really matter, does it? Because we didn't catch any fish. I don't know what the rule is. Like, is it when you catch a fish, you shouldn't tell?
Oh, I don't know, mate. I just go with it.
East Devon, and the viz recently has been pretty terrible. We've had a bit of a run of bad weather, and East Devon doesn't do too well with these easterly winds that come in and chop the sea up. But this spot we went out to yesterday evening about, what was it? Finished work about 5-ish. So we only had like an hour or so of daylight. And we knew the viz was going to be bad, but I was just desperate to get in the water. You know, when you just like you've got to get out. Like it's been a hard day at work, and it's just time to go for a swim. So I didn't even, normally I'm like, stick 2 guns in and GoPros, and full boxes and everything like that. And I didn't even expect to spearfish. And in fact, I didn't take the spear gun. I took one spear gun. I didn't take the spear gun off the float. But I just had a really nice time having a swim.
Nice.
Watching the sunset. I mean, it was a bit choppy. Luckily, I've not really felt sick doing spearfishing since I started. So I think it might have got our friend Lawrence. So it was, it was like a washing machine on top. Once we got out of the shelter of the bay.
Yeah.
But actually, although the viz was terrible at top, when you swam down, I reckon there was probably 2.5 meters, like enough that if there was any fish around, you could have caught some. I think I caught a glimpse of a sole, and I was at the end of a breath hold then, and nice little ray or two.
Right.
But it was just good to get out, really. Like beautiful evening, albeit quite cold and windy, and just good to stretch the legs. So I feel a bit better today for doing it. You always feel better, don't you, the next day?
Yeah, for sure. I've been sat at work all week, sort of biting my tongue because I know that I'm off Friday, and I'm going to go spearing over the weekend. And then I look at the weather apps, and there's a huge amount of swell coming in, and just winds from all sorts of directions. I'm thinking, oh no,
it's terrible timing, eh?
Well, yeah, I'm going to try. I'll find somewhere, as you say, even if it's just a swim, whatever,
Yeah, absolutely.
clear out the cobwebs. But so we'll see how it goes. But I should be saying to you, happy Bassmas, actually. It's
today.
Officially bass season.
Yes. And wonder how long it's going to take, how many months it's going to take before we catch our first bass.
I was going to say, do we dare say who's going to be the first one of us three to catch one? Oh yeah.
Maybe we should put some money in it or something.
I'm not that confident.
Should we?
I'm not that confident.
That's how I was going to bet for myself.
I'm not betting on Anthony.
Maybe we should all stick in a tenner and see what happens.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm hopefully going to be getting one this weekend, so we'll see.
Do you reckon? You got some spots lined up?
Potentially, depending on like, I did have a good spot lined up, but the weather seems to have washed that one out, so we'll see. But I'm going to be going down to Cornwall, so we'll see. If anything, we'll find somewhere sheltered and see what's about, really. But I'm hoping to get bass this weekend, so we'll see. But talking about bass, obviously we got two absolute legends on this week, and two American guys.
That was an interesting link. How the hell does that work?
Well, because one of them holds the world record for is it the smallmouth bass or largemouth bass?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Either one, it's a smallmouth or a largemouth bass, wherever it is.
Nicely done.
It's still very impressive. Thank you. You ruined it there. And yeah, so you got two absolute legends on there. They both run the National Freshwater Spearfishing Association. Try say that when you're hammered. And they literally have been diving for I don't even know how many years. I think Brett was saying before the internet was even a thing. So yeah, they know a thing or two about spearfishing, and it's going to be an absolute great podcast, this one.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Let's get them on.
Let's do it. Hey, Brett, Jake, thanks for coming on, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, we're humbled to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's great to be here.
Really, really good to see you guys. And for those of listeners that don't know who you guys are, do you want to give yourselves a quick intro? Brett, I don't know if you want to go first.
Brett, go and kick it off.
All right, you got it. Yeah, my name is Brett Leable, of course. I started spearfishing in the freshwater of Lake Michigan in about 1997. A buddy of mine's dad owned a dive shop in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and he was one of the original instructors, I think right after Jacques Cousteau. He was like dive instructor number 007 or 8. I don't know. I know 007 is an important number in England, but he was pretty original and funny guy. But we had access to all of his dive shop, and we took some scuba tanks and things out of the shop when he didn't notice, and jumped in the fresh water there and speared up enough small fish for pretty regular fish fries, and that's where I started.
Wow,
nice.
So you started in freshwater, and you've continued to this day. Do you do much outside of freshwater? Because those lakes around there are completely landlocked, right?
That's correct. And if you think about it, freshwater is everywhere, and in the United States especially, only like, I looked up the statistic, but only like 25% of the population's lucky enough to live by a coast, an ocean coast. So 75% of the United States has access to landlocked lakes. And it's our goal with National Freshwater Spearfishing Association to make sure freshwater spearfishing opportunities are open and available to as many people as we can get.
That's amazing. Nice one. And Jake, what's your kind of background?
Yeah, I've been spearfishing for going on like 12 years now. Grew up in Salt Lake City. I'd always kind of been like in the, Boy Scouts and, in the outdoors. And, I got introduced down in Lake Powell, where we're having our freshwater world tournament coming up this May. But I got introduced down there with a pole spear or a 3-prong, and one of my buddies brought it down. I was like, I've never seen anything like that. So he showed me how to do it, and 3 or 4 hours later, shot a bunch of carp, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. And what kind of fish are you? You mentioned carp, but I presume there's quite a few different species in the lakes there.
Each state's different. But Utah, Wyoming, they kind of have like a little bit more broad spectrum of, the fish that we're shooting: walleye, striper, and then like the panfish, like crappie, bluegill, sunfish. And then, in certain lakes here in Utah, we can shoot smallmouth and largemouth, in certain seasons. And then we can shoot, lake trout, brook trout. All the trout, brown trout, rainbow trout.
And so what Jake had mostly mentioned, if you noticed, guys, was all the edible fish. And we really only have a handful of fish that are, invasive or sort of considered largely inedible, though we've tried to eat them all. And that's the thing. We all started out, with a 3-prong or whatever in the freshwater that we had closest to us, and following each individual state's laws, speared enough fish to feed our families and our friends. And it's become a great tradition. That's
awesome. I was just going to intervene then, as you say. We can't, unfortunately, shoot freshwater fish in the UK. It's highly illegal, but I don't know if I'd want to.
I'd love to get some fresh trout. They're delicious.
Maybe trout, but I'd just be the reason. My reasoning behind it is not because of freshwater; it's because of the water quality. Because obviously we have a lot of sewage outflow that goes into our rivers, so I'd be a little bit concerned with that, especially when we have lots of rain. Because obviously it's where we are; it rains all the time. So that would be my one concern with that. But it sounds epic. I mean, our page has followed you guys for a while, especially Jake. Your Instagram is literally the funniest thing I've seen on Instagram. Got to go check it out. We'll shoot all the socials out there at the end. But some of the fish you guys are shooting in lakes, I mean, they're bigger than the fish we get in the ocean here, right? These aren't small fish. These are like some decent fish. And Jake's actually got a couple of world records as well, haven't you?
I've got 2, but hey, Brett's got 1 too, but Brett's got one with the pole. Brett's got his with his pole spear. So
well, what's the record, Shakes? What are
they? So I've got the world record smallmouth bass.
Yeah.
And then the brook trout.
Nice. Yeah, that picture.
That massive picture on Instagram I'm looking at right now. 34 inches, 23 pounds. Is that the one?
Oh,
that's the lake trout.
That's a lake trout.
I took that picture.
Huge.
Yeah. Brett took that picture, doing some influencing,
Let's take it back a bit. So the National Freshwater Spearfishing Association, bit of a mouthful there. You guys, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like me and Ben and Anthony are on the committee for the BSA, the British Spearfishing Association. Is it the same there? Do you guys have a committee? Are you both on that committee? How does it work?
Yeah. So, me, Brett, and a guy named Greg Hall.
Mm-hmm.
We take care of like all the sponsors and all the donations and help kind of get a lot of things organized. But yeah, we have we're on the chair
of the board. Yeah, we're on the board together. The president and the other vice presidents have different different roles and responsibilities. We're like the face, we're the outreach as well as the sponsors. And if you have a spearfishing shop, whether it's online or a complimentary shop of fishing or hunting gear, you've probably seen or heard from Jake. He is a master salesman. And that's our goal. But like the real work is happening on the back end, right? The president and the vice president, these guys do all this grinding, and they actually dove in Finland with one of your great divers there from the UK, Daniel Mann. Yeah. And so they reach across the pond on the back channel, and we're here. We are the face on the front channel on Instagram and on the podcasts. And those guys are doing personal connection through their own network.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The joke between Brett and I is, I'm not even good at spearfishing. I'm just really good at marketing.
Yeah, we'll have to have a chat. We'll have to have a chat once the podcast ends about that, because that's what we're lacking in.
That's your job, mate.
But yeah, no, honestly, you guys are doing an awesome job on that front anyway. Like really, like it stands out, and it's definitely looking like it's been noticed for sure. We've got some divers coming over to you guys, I think, anyway. I don't think anything's been confirmed, or it might have. I'm not sure.
We're pretty sure you got some great divers coming over, and we worked all the angles to get them, and we're excited to have them. We want to be an inclusive. The goal with the World Freshwater Spearfishing Championship is to have a more inclusive open tournament, and the rules aren't as stringent as CMOS. And the idea being we want to share what we got with everyone we can, right? And so, you know, we're going to make sure the competitors come over, have a great time, and they're going to spear a lot of fish. They're going to have a lot of fun. But in the meantime, they're going to meet all of us and meet some people that are, you know, top divers. Justin Lee is going to be there from Hawaii, GR Tar from Florida, those are both athletes of the year from our USOA, Underwater Society of America. And they're very highly recognized people, and they're all accessible, and they're super nice and great people to know and to dive and get your phone numbers and great network.
That's awesome. I mean, we actually have, like, what is it now, Ben? Over 60 odd countries that listen to us. So if anybody is keen to participate, they should just reach out to you. Is it still enough time left? Or
Oh, for sure. The event runs May 16th through the 20th, like Jake said, in Page, Arizona, in Lake Powell. A lot of divers fly into Las Vegas. That's the biggest, closest airport. Rent a car and drive out. It's about a 3.5-4 hour drive out from Vegas.
Yeah.
But you know, Vegas is kind of a different fun place. So you might, you know, spend a few extra days on the back end. I wouldn't go on the fore end.
Thank God Anthony's not going, is all I can say, because it'd be something like out of the Hangover movie, wouldn't it, Ben? Hey, can you imagine?
It'd be a bit of fun, but you wouldn't want to tell your missus about it, would you?
No.
But that's an added feature, an added bonus of coming to our event is that.
I'm just looking at the pictures of Lake Powell. I've not really done any freshwater fishing. But Lake Powell looks like a really interesting place. It's like you just describe it for the listeners, what kind of like terrain and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a natural phenomenon. Like, you got these big red rocks, and then they dam the Colorado River, and the Colorado River flows into it. It's been really low the last couple of years, but with our snowpack, you know, our snowpack this year is over 200%. It sounds like, you know, they're going to fill it back up. But I mean, you got these big, like, no joke, like, you know, 200-300 foot red rock walls, and like you have all these little fingers and all these little slot canyons that you can, you know, go and find, you know, striper, carp, walleye. There's some trout in there. I've never seen any, or seen a few.
It's cool.
But
it's incredible. It's like the Grand Canyon, but it's been dammed off, like Jake said. It's like the most incredible scenery. It's beautiful. It's dry desert. It's very interesting, slick rock, a lot of old Native American petroglyphs and you know, history there as well. This tournament is located in amongst a Native American reservation area, and all the fish that we are spearing that are considered invasive, that the local authority wants out, the mayor of the next town over, Big Water, Utah, is going to take and turn into fertilizer for the local native families to be able to use in their gardens or whatever. So the fish are going back into the land. We're culling an invasive. It's really a win-win, and we're really excited to have found this partnership.
That's
Fantastic.
amazing.
What is the invasive species, and what's the story there?
I mean, the carp are just, they, like, we'll shoot what, like 2,500 plus carp, and it won't even dent the population.
It won't.
Like,
it won't even take over. It won't even stop the amount of current breeding for this year. So it's incredible. And like Jake was about to say, they are destroying the forage and the habitat for the native fishes.
Yeah, that's incredible. What sort of depth are you guys diving to in Lake Powell?
300, 400 feet, Jake?
No, I mean, when I was out there, I was hitting like 280.
Yeah.
We're talking centimeters.
I was just going to say, are we talking Anthony's measurements here? Because
right.
No, I mean, during like a national tournament or like a world tournament, I kid you not, like, most people will shoot fish between 5 or even like 2 feet to, 20 feet.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So in the King's measurement, that's less than 1 meter. to about 6 meters.
Yeah.
And the thermocline is located, that time of year, a little closer to the surface, and most of the fish are happening on the thermocline. What I mean by the thermocline is there's a water division, right? The warm water's on top, the colder water's below. And so 90% of all of our fish in freshwater are found at the thermocline. Now you might have your head above the thermocline and your body you're laying below the thermocline, so your toes are really cold, but your head's nice and warm. And the fish swim that thermocline, and you can see it. The water color or clarity is different. The mixing of cold and hot. I mean, it's very interesting, but it's also very accessible and a lot of fun. That's the goal here, is to have a lot of fun. And this specific tournament, each nationals or each worlds is held at a different lake, and this specific one in Lake Powell, we're literally doing the National Park Service a favor. They coordinate with us. We last year used their dumpsters at our national event. They provided the dumpsters to kill as many of the carp as we could, get them out. And it was with their blessing and their encouragement that we did the tournament that way. Not all tournaments are that way. Spearfishing can be very selective, and tournament hunting in general can be sort of a black eye. So we got to be careful with how we set them up. And when we do our game fish stuff, we're very selective. We pick on the species that are sustainable, and we choose lengths and things like that fit, and we eat all the fish. At Worlds, I cook. Jake and I were there, and my background is at the Worlds in Beaver Lake, Arkansas.
Yeah. Hey, can you tell them what kind of fish those are?
Oh yeah, Jake and I are holding up the world-renowned Starp. That's the striper carp. It's a hybrid that doesn't exist anywhere in the world other than Beaver Lake, Arkansas, where Jake went out and got a couple of spray paint cans, and we turned carp into striper. And we only did it because we're terrible divers, and we couldn't find any stripers. And everybody else from all these different countries, we had a bunch of Ukrainians come over, and they're turning in these magnificent 25, 30-pound stripers. And me and Jake can't find a single striper.
That's the way it goes all the time, man. But
not to be outdone, we turned in the Starp, and we got 0 points. I think we got DQ'd, which is to be expected. But then after that, my son and I and my wife and my sister and her 2 kids, so my nephews were out, and we took and filleted all the fish. Or do you say filleted? Some people say filleted.
Yeah, we normally say filleted.
Okay. Well, we filleted however many striper we ended up with. We had a sponsor. Shout out to our sponsor, but a sponsor that provided us with electric filleting knives. That's American Angler, and they have amazing knives. And we whipped through these fish that all the competitors turned in, and took them back. And my sister and nephews and I put on a fish fry for everyone. And
nice.
All the competitors, every single one of them, really enjoyed the fish and came back for more. We invited everybody in the local community that would come, dive shops, because we're not hiding anything. We're not trying to, we're showing we're sustainable, and we're showing we're using everything appropriately, and we're not taking anything outside the law. We always invite the local authorities to come, the game and fish managers, so they can see what we're doing. We're all above board, and we are very proud of what we're doing.
That's epic. That's great. I mean, something you touched on there with competitions being a bit of a sore spot for some. Currently in the UK, that's what we're experiencing, aren't we, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something that we're trying to work on, and we're working with loads of others to work on that, give it a better image overall. But it takes a while, I think. But yeah, that's epic, guys. I mean, you've also got the online tournament running, which we touched base on the other day of Instagram, didn't we, Brett? Yeah, no, this one's great. Jake gets a lot of guff from me on Instagram. I've been calling him the king of freshwater.
Cough.
KOF, cough. And he just, I give him that title, because really, like, he does so much for the community that it goes on behind the scenes, right? Like, you don't see what he does. You see his funny videos, and you see his bare butt hanging out of his wetsuit when he's poking fun at some of the mega influencers, like Valentine Thomas. Yeah, Valentine's a good sport. Valentine, replies to us. She likes us. We can't get her. She's Canadian, but she will not come and compete for Canada in our worlds because she said the water's too cold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's like 65 degrees. It's like 65, 66 degrees, which is what is that in Fahrenheit? I don't know, plus 15 or 10, plus 12, somewhere in there.
I don't know.
I think it's about 12 to 14 Celsius.
12
anyhow,
to 14. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, she won't come, but she's a good sport. She puts up with us on Instagram. And this online tournament is going to be awesome. We're going to have 21 species of fish. And they're ranked in order of prizes. So the best prizes are where the fish are the most popular for each state. So we want every state to have an equal chance at the big prize, right? And the big prize is carp. It's invasive. They grow huge. We're doing water quality a favor and native species a favor. And we're also recognizing that every single state that allows spearfishing allows carp. So if you want to get a big prize, sign up for our tournament and come on out. Now,
is that in America only, or was that worldwide?
Well, okay, you guys are so fast.
He's jumping the gun, Richard, jumping the
gun. we were like, I don't know, like 1 centimeter away in the King's measurement to having it worldwide. Right. And I think we got talked out of it because we weren't 100% on all the different rules. So we might do a second world tournament online. We got to button this one up, but we're going to button it up. And what we're going to do is run a trash tournament that's worldwide. So concurrently with our online spearfishing freshwater tournament is a trash tournament. And all you need to do is take a video of yourself throwing away a piece of trash that you got out of the water into a trash can, and you submit it on the iAngler app. That's your submission. Your name is put in the hat. Okay. The top prize for that is $1,000 cash and a $500 spear gun donation from NFSA. For every single person that enters a submission, because you have to pay our online registration fee, for every single person that submits a piece of trash, we can track that, and you can track it as well. You can count them. NFSA will donate $1 to the pot. So then another way to enter is become a member of NFSA. So you become a member of NFSA, you get your name in the hat for a second chance to win. And NFSA now adds $2 more. So if you're a member and you enter a video, you get your name in the hat twice. And we provide $3 towards the pot. So this prize could be $10,000, $12,000 if everyone in the world joins up and throws some trash away, cleans up the water, guys. It doesn't matter if it's salt or fresh. It doesn't matter if it's England or United States or Mexico or Canada. Just enter and get some cash. Like, let's go. Let's all do something right to the environment.
Oh, hell, Ben. When are we going out to get our trash?
We've had some good ones this year, haven't we? Because I actually won a competition this last year for picking up trash. It wasn't very exciting. It was just a mug, which is ironic. But yeah, I think
he was only awarded the prize after I made him drink out of the mug he found in the ocean.
Yuck.
Yeah. I was going to ask, so we obviously talked a lot about freshwater fishing. It looks like from Instagram you guys do a little bit of saltwater fishing as well. Do you prefer the freshwater, or I mean, obviously it's more accessible for you guys, but like, how do they compare?
I mean, let me ask you. Would you rather get in freezing cold water that is visibility is maybe 10 feet, or would you rather get in 100-foot visibility and where it's like 80 degrees?
Yeah, the latter, right?
Yeah, I hope that answered your question.
We're not all Brody Moss, and we're not all Sam Clothier either.
Right. Yeah, we don't have that option, for 80 degrees and 100-foot viz. But that's why we love spearfishing so much is, we're willing to, go out, where the water's colder, biz isn't, as great.
Yeah, and look, you can still have a good time in that. So I went out last night. It's about 9 degrees, 8 or 9 degrees in the sea here, and Viz was about 1.5 meters. I wasn't expecting any fish, but it's not just about the spearfishing either, is it? It's
Right,
just
right,
getting in
right.
the water, getting some exercise in,
For
seeing some
sure.
cool stuff.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
one thing I've noticed, because like Jake likes to, point out, I live a blessed life, and I've had the opportunity to travel the past few years a ton and spearfish. And the saltwater fish taste on average better. We have some really good freshwater fish, like our walleye is probably the most favorite one. It's comparable to like a zander in like the other countries like Latvia, and I think Ukraine has them as well, in Finland. So we do have some very good tasting fish, but the saltwater fish on average, I think, tastes better. Also, saltwater fish fight a lot harder. So a 20-pound carp like Jake, or like a 30-pound lake trout like Jake's shot, is going to compare in the saltwater to a fish probably 5 pounds, or something like that. They don't fight near as hard.
Yeah.
They're not running from sharks all the time, I guess. And that's maybe why they don't swim as strongly. I'm not sure.
That leads us on nicely to your record, Brett. So you're the current IUSA pole spear record for the midnight parrotfish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the picture I shared on our stories the other day. That
But that's the one recorded. He shot another one. It's just not recorded.
I hate that one.
Really? I'll think it's that one.
I think I've eaten about 7 or 8 spearfishing records at this point. I've never been a fan of the spearfishing record game.
Right.
It's only something you do when you want to draw attention to yourself. And in my case, I'd already touched on this. GR Tar with Red Tide Spearfishing. He came out with an awesome pole spear. I bought it. I buy all my gear. I have no sponsors other than, Rocked Up Reef gave me a hat one time, and I appreciated the hat, and I gave them a lot of mileage out of their hat. And another dive shop in California, Merrick Spearfishing, in the past has hooked me up, but unfortunately they went out of business, and they gave me an awesome hat as well, and I wore that a lot. It became between the two of them, one was my lucky hat every other day I went out. And so, but Red Tide really came out with an awesome spear, a pole spear, and one of my favorite places to pole spear is the Bahamas. That's where I learned to spearfish right after I grew up. My friend's dad, the dive shop owner and the dive instructor, had a timeshare down there. And so we would travel down as kids. We would drive 1,000 miles from Wisconsin to Miami in a van, like 8 of us. And then we would hop out after driving all night, and then get on an airplane and fly to the Bahamas and spear for like 4 days in the Bahamas off the shore. Like, we shore dove. We didn't know anybody there to take us out, and we didn't have any money to pay for gas. And so that was my luck. So I got the pole spear from Red Tide. And I just truly believed in it so much. And GR is such a great guy. He does so much in the behind the scenes for spearfishing in general, and donations and advocacy and mentorship for the young divers. You just don't have a guy like that. So instead of taking the notoriety for myself, I said, you know what, GR? I said, I'm going to take your pole spear and I'm going to shoot 3 world records with it this year. And all I want from you when I do this is I want you to give me a signed t-shirt. That's it. And so I went on a quest for 3 pole spear records. I shot 2 and I missed one with Jake, and Jake was there when I missed. It was a lake trout, and it was a bit of a bummer.
You missed a big one, but then you could have shot a world record. He could have shot a world record, but he's like, it's not big enough. Yeah. I'm like,
I didn't want to enter a small world record. I wanted to enter a big world record. And then, it is what it is. That's how every good spearfishing story starts, right? The one that got away. Yeah. So that's why I started doing it. But I could show you pictures on my Instagram of world records at the time that I just ate them, and it's okay.
That's awesome, man. So walk us through, or tell us through the story about the one that you got that you claimed world record for.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. So, like I said, it's in a spot I really love in the Bahamas, and I'm not going to tell you where it is, but I'll take you there if you ever want to go. We'll meet somewhere, and I'll blindfold you. But we can duplicate that spot. I got the point just right for it, because I shot a world record there in October that I ate. And then I landed this one in May. So 6 months later, I came back to the same spot. And that's when I had gotten a hold of GR's spear. And I said, you know what I'm going to do, GR? And so I started shooting world records for him right then. And the trouble with it all was on day one, you get to a new dive location and you're amped up. I went with 3 other Wyoming spearos who were new to salt water. And they were just excited to be there. And I showed them some spots and stuff in the water. And I'd gotten, I don't know, I'm an old man now, right? So I'll be 42 in June. And I'd gotten overstrained myself for jet lag, and my back like locked up. I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk, much less dive. I dove the first day, then my back locked up that night. So for 3 days, I just drove the boat. I couldn't, and I could, in such pain to drive the boat. Finally, on the 4th day, my back felt decent enough that I drove to the spot that I had pinned. I jumped in the water. 3 dives in, I spotted my fish, dove down, shot him, put it on the boat, and said, "That's a world record, boys. Let's head in and document it." And that was it.
What sort of depth was that?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What sort of depth was it that you shot the fish?
Oh yeah, the whole story of the depth. It's like right around 50 foot, depending on the tide. It could be 44 to 52, depending on the tide. So, the story is there's just some good spots with some big dinosaurs. I don't think anyone is ever they're never gonna beat that record. It beat the current record at the time by like 6 pounds, which as a percentage was like 40%.
Wow.
So it's so far above and beyond bigger that I don't think it'll ever be broken. And also parrotfish are getting a reputation now across the world as a fish that cleans the reef, and we shouldn't be shooting them. But that's kind of a fool's argument, because as long as it's sustainable, why, yes, some places they're overfished. Yes, some places people pick on them too much. But in the Bahamas, there's an unbelievable amount of parrotfishes and not too many divers picking on them specifically. But the locals, the natives, have been eating them for years. If you've ever eaten grouper fingers in a Bahamian restaurant, chances are good you've actually had parrotfish.
Well, cool. And Jake, your records as well. So you've got as we touched on already, the brook trout and the smallmouth bass. Do you want to walk us through that? Tell us the stories of them, man.
Yes, the smallmouth. It was November. Like right as I get out of my car, it starts snowing outside, and the water was. This is like 6 years ago. So yeah, all I had was a 3 mil, and the water I think was in like the upper 40s, 40 degree Fahrenheit, like 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Jump in the water, swimming around for a bit, and I see this fish. I'm like, that fish is like, all I had in my mind is like, this is going to be the state record. So I shoot it, end up weighing it. Like while I was there, it was just over 6 pounds. And I called my buddy, and I was like, he's another freshwater guy, Ryan Peterson. And I was like, dude, I think I got the state record. It's like right at 6 pounds. And he's like, dude, that's not the state record. That's the world record. And I was like, no way. So I get jacked, and I go into like the DNR, like the like where they do like
Division of Wildlife.
Yeah, fish and wildlife. And I take out this smallmouth out of this like little Coleman cooler, and I flop it on a piece of cardboard. And I was like, hey, here's the state record. And they were so confused. And
that's not how you do it. That's not normal.
Right. Yeah. And then
you were just so excited. You just want to show them.
Oh yeah. And I think I was maybe 27 to 30 feet, like not deep at all.
Right. Okay.
And then the second one was, it was in the state that's, and
secrets are being revealed. Secret alert.
Yeah. That'd be all.
Oh, Jake will take you there. Jake's a good sport.
Yeah, I'll take. I won't tell people, but I'll take you there.
That's right.
Yeah, it was same thing, like in the fall, and I mean, I shot the brook trout in maybe like 12 feet of water, if that, and came in and shot him right in the head, and what water was probably 38 degrees. It was cold.
It's like 4
trout,
degrees C. That's
trout
freezing.
Right.
Trout like the cold water. Trout's a cold water fish.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're shooting like a big lake trout, like in the fall, the water's anywhere from like 34 to like 38 degrees.
Wow.
So yeah,
just over freezing.
Yeah, 5 mil for me, 8 mil for Brett.
With a vest, hot water bladder against my kidneys.
Yeah.
But I'm so much older and frail now.
Yeah,
more vigorous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like a seal. I got a little bit more blubber than Brett does. So.
Like you and me, mate.
Right.
Didn't you say that to me the other day, Ben?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, something about a seal or a whale or something like that. Yeah,
you called me a whale, didn't you? And said, "Why are you
funny
cold?
story?
Whales don't get cold."
Jake
meant it affectionately. I always think they're like cuddly, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean?
Jake, remember in the Blue Water World Cup where I was speaking Spanish to the guides and you had no idea what they were saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Me and my other dive partner, Chase Ames Realtor, we get in the water at the same time, and Brett, of course, speaks somewhat Spanish, and he's go and tell him what you would tell the boat drivers who don't speak any English.
Well, yeah, they don't speak hard. Well, I mean, some do. Shout out to at El Yoni Calderon, and he's on Instagram. But everybody else, I don't even know if they have Instagram, but they don't speak a very good English. And so in Spanish, Jake was wearing this awesome blue wetsuit. He was sponsored by Hatch Spear Guns at the time, a great dive company out of Hawaii. Shout out to Mike Hatcher. And at the time, he was wearing a bright blue ocean water camo wetsuit. And he would jump in the water with this mighty splash. And I would say, yeah, you know, like la ballena azul es en la agua. And it translates to the blue whale got in the water. And so all for a while we're going around and there's like, everybody just started calling Jake El Ballena, the whale. El Ballena azul, the blue whale. And Jake is just diving his little heart out because that's what he does the best. He is, you know, for what he lacks in super deep diving or super great breath hold, he just hunts the water. He hunts where he can hunt, and you got to respect that. He puts in the hours and the effort. But anyhow, he's hunting the water, not paying attention to the gibberish Spanish. And then him and his other dive partner were getting in together. It's a three-man tournament. We were all on one team. So those two would get in the water like right next to each other every single time. And then we would also pick them up and they'd be right next to each other. So I would say, you know, él y él es esposos, you know, him and him are husbands. And they look at me huh? And I would say, oh yeah, you know, sí, todos noches, besos, muchos besos. So like, what? He's like, yeah, all night they're kissing. And we just went on. So like,
they're kissing in the water.
For 3 days, I told you guys that these guys were kissing in the water, and they you know, they're great sports about it, but it was so funny because the Mexican people are a very macho culture, right? And especially spearfishing, you know, they don't have a ton of money. So if you're a spearo down there, it's a very macho thing to do, and it's a good way to show off your machismo. So to be sharing a boat with a couple of esposos, a couple of male husbands that are. And then I finally told Jake and Chase what I'd been saying, and those guys fell over. I mean, they're good sports. I love them.
Oh, that's hilarious. Don't worry, Jake. I'm the one that gets picked on in our friendship group over this side. So I know how you feel, mate. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. Here we
go. And now to get on to the interesting bit, we're talking about Jake's ass. So
well, hey, so that's the ongoing joke. That's why I've been, you know, trying to hit the gym as much as possible. because the joke between like all my friends and even spearfishing buddies is I don't have an ass. I just have a long back with a crack at the bottom.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Jake, honestly, your Instagram is like next level hilarious. Yeah, it's giving me hours of amusement. I especially like your video you did where you were doing all your gym workout for your tournament that you were hunting in.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Standing on the podium with the weights and
right.
Holding up world record stripers. Yeah, I loved it.
Right.
Man. That's hilarious. I was contemplating doing something myself, but I'm just not that enthusiastic to get in the gym. But yeah, so that post you did then, like obviously I know there's a bit more involved than what's on the surface, but you did a post where you basically had your arse out compared to Valentine Thomas.
Yeah. Who wore it better?
Well, I mean, depends who you're asking. If Anthony was here, you know.
I think you can tell you've been to the gym, Jake.
Oh man.
Good stuff.
Yeah. No. So talk us through that post and what's the reason?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, there's not many people that are. I mean, that water that I was diving was, you know, it was like middle of the winter, and it was cold water, and a lot of the time I'm diving by myself, so you know, I got to do the old tripod and, you know, self timer, and, you know, trust me, there's a lot of pictures that I haven't posted that I mean, I honestly, and I've thought about doing it, but it would probably break the damn internet. But yeah, I mean, I was actually doing I kid you not, I was doing a calendar photo shoot for a dive group called Just Get Wet, and he's like, yeah, send me some photos, we'll get you in our calendar. So I you know, next
you
thing
cranked
you know,
it up to 11. You cranked it up to 11, I bet.
Oh yeah, I'm butt ass naked. Nobody's around. Or I'm hoping nobody's around. I've got my fins in front of me, you know, that's not showing anything. It's just, you know, that I'm naked. It's just not showing anything. But yeah, I mean, that was yeah, I did like a comparison like probably 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, of same thing of, you know, just, you know, hot chicks with spear guns. And, you know, I'm like, hey, you know what, let's do a little, same thing. Valentine was on it. And I was like, let's do a little comparison. You know, my ass is hanging out of my, you know, I hike that wetsuit up, you know, as far as I can into my ass, and, you know, take the photo. You know, I've got no shame. You know, if you've been around me long enough, I have no shame. And, you know, my saying right now is, you know, when you have a body like me, you know, it deserves to be naked.
Oh yes.
Hell yeah, man.
And Brett knows that. Brett knows that firsthand.
Yeah. It's, you know, you've touched on it in the podcast before, guys. Like, you know, your dive partners intimately, whether you want to or not.
Yeah. These boys know more about me than some other people, that's for sure.
Yeah. Wow, Richard and I would be really good dive partners.
You so like the comparison to Valentina, then was that just like, you know, you saying actually?
No,
you know?
I messaged her. I was like, hey, you're okay if I do this pose? And she's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. We've been calling it the Valentine pose for a long time because, you know, it's a pretty famous picture, especially if you're a young boy just getting into spearfishing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the Valentine pose, and we all do it in our own way. In fact, I sent her one. She's a good sport. She even answers me, and I don't have a 1/25th the followers of Jake, and she replies, haha, you know, she's a good sport, and she knows what she's doing. She's a very good advocate for spearfishing in general. Mm-hmm. And, you know, all publicity is good publicity, right? Mm-hmm. For the sport. And so that's kind of what's going on with the influencer game today. And Jake, you know, whether Jake likes it or not, he is the biggest name in freshwater, and he's the biggest diver in freshwater, not just his physical size, but of course his internet presence.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously brands obviously want to send their stuff to people who have large followings, and females with nice assets tend to have large followings, generally speaking. I know that sounds a bit sexist, but it's
Makes
true.
sense.
Yeah,
But
I'm the complete opposite. I'm a big male with no ass.
Long back with a crack at the bottom.
Yeah, long back with a crack at the bottom.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, yeah, you're obviously doing something right, Jake, because your Instagram's hilarious, and you got quite good following, so that's awesome. So just bringing it back a bit, then, like to the freshwater competitions you guys run. I mean, we get quite a bit of kickback in the UK, and we're obviously just hunting in saltwater. Do you guys get a fair amount of kickback for hunting in freshwater? I mean, generally, like vegans and the rest of it are going to kick off anyway because they don't want to shoot and fish, right? But do you have anyone giving you any much grief for it, or?
I get a lot of grief from like fly fishermen,
right?
For shooting their beautiful trout.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me, but yeah.
But is that just like a jealousy thing? Like we get that from?
No, it's not a jealousy thing because they're all about catch and release, which I'm fine with. But
right, yeah.
I mean, and I tell them, I might have no problem releasing the fish, but at that point, it's the fish are dead. So I'm like, I have no problem. I have no problem releasing them, but I've like during COVID, I've trolled a lot of them, and and I'm like, I just lost my job, and times are hard. I got to feed my family, and obviously that's not the case, but just to troll them a little bit, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, and but,
well, to put a finer point on it, with Jake specifically, he's in one of the states that the Department of Natural Resources allows spearing of trout. And they only allow it, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, they only allow it in the lakes, not in the rivers.
Right.
Okay.
So you're watching Brad Pitt, you're watching the famous movie A River Runs Through It, the poem at the end of the story. A river, runs through it. The river was cut by the world's great flood and runs over rocks from the basement of time. On some of the rocks are timeless raindrops, and under the rocks are the words, and some of the words are theirs. I'm haunted by waters.
Where did you pull that from?
Norman McLean, brother. That's in the book.
Oh my gosh. That made my day.
You didn't know you were going to get poetry quoted to you.
No, I didn't.
That could be a whole new one. Podcast poetry with Brett Leable.
I actually heard on the radio today, there's a guy who started a poetry podcast, and apparently it's taken off in the UK.
Send him my Insta.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say you can start your own, and there you go. You're off.
but like that's the thing. These guys spend a lot of money on their sport, and they are chasing trout with $1,000-$1,200 fly rods, and their waders cost $800. And heck, they're even button down Patagonia, shirts are $300 just for a damn shirt. So look, they spend a lot of money on their sport. I get it. And they have the rivers all to themselves. Hardly any fly fishermen are fly fishing in lakes anyways. And so Jake's out there swimming around. Him and two other people are crazy enough to do it in these cold lakes. And what, you're going to be mad that we killed what the Department of Natural Resources proclamation says is allowed by the hook and line anglers? So if you're a fly fisherman, you're allowed to keep, whatever it is, 2 trout a day. Jake's keeping 2 trout a day, just with a different method. And so that's the thing. We got to stop dividing ourselves amongst our sports. Bow hunters have always ridiculed rifle hunters as well. Oh, you're shooting these animals long range. We're really doing it right. Well, who's going to argue with the bow hunter, the Maasai tribesman in Africa, that I kill it with an atlatl? Unless you're killing an animal with an atlatl, you're not worthy. And the fly fishermen are at the top of this debate, right? They think that hook and line fishermen that use bait are Neanderthals, and they think spear fishermen that do it are one step above the ape man. So it's just we're dividing ourselves for no good reason, and we need to all understand. At the end of the day, we're all following the legal rules, and we should support each other.
That's a great way of putting it. Couldn't have said better myself.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we spoke to Shrek a few weeks ago, didn't we? And he was saying how the anglers and the commercial spearfishing out there actually do get along really well together and do support each other's causes. And he was saying that he'd noticed that over here that we don't really have that in the same way. There's quite a lot of animosity towards commercial fishermen. It sounds like it's quite similar out there for you guys.
For sure. And it's a problem worldwide. And it's a problem across politics. It's a problem across everything. Somehow, some way, somebody wants to cause division because, everybody's getting along. Unicorns and rainbows don't make headlines, and headlines don't sell books and and on and on we go. You have to create controversy to drum up, whatever the issue is, so you can get support for your cause, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you've got censorship on top of that, right? So, for example, there's it's got quite a large channel. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, called Aquatic Ape, is it? I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So he put a video up the other day on YouTube, and YouTube was like censoring him heavily because he was spearing fish with a spear gun. Yeah. Whereas if you catch it with the rod and line and it's got gore and blood on it, it doesn't matter. But if you shoot with a spear gun, it does. So upon everything we've just talked about, you then got that sort of censorship where people see us shooting fish with a spear gun, and as you said before, they find it quite barbaric, where in reality we're being very selective and ending that fish very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So yeah, it's an interesting debate. I mean, it leads on quite well to the next question, really, which is like going into some posts we've seen from yourself, Brett, where you were like teaching your son sort of hunting and gun. There's a video, wasn't there, of him shooting a pistol, I believe. You're teaching him to shoot a pistol. That's awesome. I love it. I'm all for it. I think personally, the younger the better. Like, we should get kids involved in in gun safety first of all.
Absolutely.
And obviously, onto that is getting them involved in sports. I mean, if I don't have a child, but if I had a child, he'd be in the water from 4 years old, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. And so, I had to think long and hard whether I should post that, right? My Instagram is mostly my spearfishing. If I posted anything, very much anything else besides the spearfishing I did, I'd be doing nothing but posting all day. Mm-hmm. And so that one, I thought, this is worthwhile. I made a conscious effort to teach my son early on gun safety, gun handling. And since the pistol one, I went into there's a rifle one that we did, and I got a lot of great comments on it about teaching him safety early on and not making guns a mystery. The United States has a large gun culture. Like, we know this. The whole world creates a controversy over it, and we understand it, right? And so they play up something I saw today. They played up the mass shootings and how many kids are shot in schools or whatever. But at the same time, I think it was like 375,000 kids are sex trafficked. So instead of complaining about guns and things like that have a relatively very low overall impact, let's talk about the kids that are being actually harmed on a scale that's abysmal. And let's defend those kids rather than try to, push an agenda. This is all an agenda thing. And so I'm teaching my son now, before he gets off into school and before he gets off into places that have an agenda, to teach our kids guns are bad. Okay. And so it's just a tool in the toolbox. I mean, I let him drive the truck a little bit too. Like, he sits in my lap on a country road and it's safe. He can steer the truck, but I'm not giving him the keys to his own truck and letting him drive. Like, that's foolish too. Right. So you got to do it right. You got to demystify it. He knows gun safety better than anyone. He knows, what to do if he goes to somebody's house and he sees a gun. It's get dad and tell dad, get dad, and heck, if he does that, we'll go shoot it, but don't touch it. Leave it alone. Go and find dad and let's tell an adult. And so that kind of stuff is important to take the mystery out of it, because what are kids? They're curious, and all they want to do is mess with things they don't know. And so if we make something that's just normal, part of life, he started cutting his own food with a knife at 3 or 4 years old. And my wife is like kind of appalled, like, well, what if he cuts himself? And I said, he's a boy. It's going to be messy. He's going to break his leg. Maybe he's going to cut himself. He'll be okay. if he cuts his finger with his knife, we'll stitch him up, take him to the doctor if we need to, but like, it's just a cut, it'll heal.
Mhm.
And so early on, and you know what, he's never cut himself, and you know, on and on, right? And so we need to do our kids a service and teach them what they need to know early on. We need to teach them all these life lessons because they don't know anything. It's our job to teach them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've had him spearfishing as well, right?
Oh yeah, you know, he's a nut. He's absolutely nuts. When he was 3, we were in the Bahamas, my favorite spot, and I'm out with a local famous diver who's a commercial fisherman, and he said, "Brett, let's go out today, and you spear me some fish that I can sell." You got it, buddy. Eddie the Rock, if you're listening, Eddie, love you, man. And local Bahamian, my wife's in the boat and my son. And so how we do it in the Bahamas is you drag behind, it's crystal clear water, 100+ foot of viz. And we're dragging along in 50 feet of water over these structures. And you hang out behind the boat on a rope, say about, 20-foot long rope. And he drags you through the water at like, whatever, 2-3 miles an hour. I call it the Bahamian depth finder. Okay. Because they don't have depth finders. Okay. I'm on the back of the rope looking down in the water. And this is where I spot a fish and I signal the boat and let go of the rope, dive down, shoot him, pull him up, give him to the boat. They go on ice and away we go again. He throws me the rope and I drag around.
Yeah.
And so you cover a lot of miles this way. Well, I got the bright idea. I don't know why, probably because I'm an idiot, to put my son on my back. And we're in 50 feet of water in the middle of the Bahamian Ocean, dragging my son around. And he's on my back. And he's got his face in the water with his snorkel next to me. He's 3. He can't even wash his own butt in the damn bathtub. And he's got his face in the water and he's pointing fish. Move, Dad. And it's like, got him, bud. And he was wearing a life jacket. He's wearing a wetsuit and a life jacket. I was wearing a wetsuit and a dive weight belt. And he'd point him out and he would just bob there and I'd dive down, make a fish, come back up. Well, Eddie was like, he's a Bahamian. He's been a commercial spear fisherman and a commercial fisherman his whole life. He's got 2 daughters of his own and two boys that he's raised up in this culture of spearfishing for sustenance. And he couldn't believe I'd have my 3-year-old on my back out there doing this. And I'm like, yeah, man, just teaching him young. And so my son's a knucklehead. I mean, he loves it. And so does Jake's sons. They're just a year apart, my son and Jake's oldest, Hunter. And they have so much fun together when they do get together. They play spear fishermen. They're in the pool at the hotel, play diving in their little setups. It's great, man.
That's epic. Ben, you need to get on it, man.
Yeah, I know. I keep saying to Alex, we're going to go out this year. It's a bit cold this time of year, right? But do you take him in?
We'll be in Freshwater and Brett's son will be like, Dad, there's a massive grouper in here. We have to shoot.
Yeah, groupers aren't in freshwater. That's the joke, right?
Yeah.
What kind of temperatures are you taking your kids out in the autumn when it is like 4 degrees, or you
they don't last long. They don't last long when it's only +4, but they want to.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And Jake, how old were your kids when you got them in spearfishing?
Around 3. Got a 4, or he's 4, and then I got a 2-year-old now. But yeah, my 4-year-old can throw on a mask and snorkel and swim around all day.
You had him diving down like 12 feet in one pool, clearing his ears and everything.
Yeah.
That's epic,
crazy,
man. They're gonna grow up to be some epic spearos, man.
Oh, right. They'll be out diving me by the time they're 10. Which it isn't saying much. So
yeah, that's epic, man. That's awesome. And are you both massively into your land hunting as well, then, or?
Brett's into it more than I am, but yeah, I like to do a lot of upland. Yeah, Brett's the king of hunting ducks and big birds.
Yeah, no, we have fun. I mean, we're like I said, I grew up that way. I grew up fishing and hunting, and eating the food. My grandfathers and that were into it right away, and so spearfishing was something foreign to me. But I took to it like a duck to water because I'd had a background in fishing and a background in hunting, and I had that just because of the culture of where I lived in the country. I'd be 9 years old running around with a 22 shooting squirrels and making squirrel stew. One year we had a competition cook-off for wild game. And my grandfather won first place with venison neck roast. My dad took second with pheasant Cynthia recipe, and I took third place at 9 years old with a Cajun squirrel stew. And we'd harvested those animals ourselves, and it was a great family event, and everybody was there. It was just, it was so supportive as a community. Really knew I'd found my people.
That's epic. Yeah, we send us over some recipes for pheasants, because one of our listeners just gave us a whole load of pheasants that Anthony's still yet to dish out. I think he's trying to hold on to them. But
I'll give you my famous,
right now,
yeah.
The famous, go for it now. Yeah, do for it.
Yeah, the famous pheasant Cynthia recipe. So whenever you guys come to visit at my house, we cook it up for all of our beloved guests that come, and it's no one's ever not had seconds or thirds, and so.
Is that a secret recipe, or are you willing to share?
No, it's so easy. It's I'll absolutely send it over. You guys can put it in the show notes of the podcast. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. And I mean, just one question before we go on to the last one. Just shooting back a bit to the Freshwater National Spearfishing Association. How many members does it currently have?
So our membership, I'd have to pull the stuff, but our national freshwater spearfishing membership, I think, is around 50 to 70 every year, and they're all pretty local freshwater divers. But like I said, we run the tournaments, the nationals and the worlds, and we get a ton of saltwater divers. So our event will have 100 divers, but they're not all freshwater divers, right? And they won't all be members of our club, but they'll be members from the saltwater community as well. And so we really switched our focus this year at NFSA to take a real national approach, and we're going to push a national membership drive just to get people's name and number and make sure they know we're a point of connection. We want to be the hub. We want to be, a way to connect people to other awesome divers like Jake Lords. He's goes on these podcasts, and he'll get, now after he's on your podcast, he's going to have Jake, 10, 15 DMs like, hey, whoa, heard your podcast. This is awesome. Where can I dive?
Right.
And so Jake, has always been the hub, but Jake's only kind of located in Utah and a few other states that he travels to. So he does his best making connections as he can, but we're a national organization, so we can help connect people. So after Jake gets these connections, he forwards them to us, and then we network with them and say, hey, oh, cool, you're in Wisconsin. Oh, I know 3 guys in Wisconsin that you'd love to deal with. Because, the United States is so big, right? Like the old joke, says, in the United States, 100 years is a long time, but in Europe, 100 miles is a far distance. And so in the United States, 100 miles is what, Jake, do that every day or twice a day?
Right.
No big deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you guys are doing amazing stuff. We need to talk afterwards. We'll touch base.
Absolutely.
So what's your funniest story spearfishing? You guys, I know you guys have got some crackers. Let's have them. I don't care how bad they are, just go for it.
Let's see. Probably my most embarrassing one was Freshwater Nationals in 2000. What was this? 21, Brett? When we were in Lake Pleasant? Was that 21?
Yes.
So 2021, Lake Pleasant. I'm with my dive partner who was with me at Blue Water World Cup, and his girlfriend. And
now
she's
fiance.
Now fiance. Allie's driving boat for us. And, I dived. I'm wearing a 5 mil Farmer John, so it comes up over my shoulders. And I'm at 30 feet, and I stick my hand out, and it hits me so hard, and I'm like, oh my, literally I shit myself in the Farmer John wetsuit in the water. So I'm deep. 30 feet deep. So I'm I'm praying that Chase's fiance or girlfriend at the time was nowhere to be seen, and I'm swimming over to a cove. I'm getting butt ass naked to clean this wetsuit out because there's shit all up my back, and so luckily she doesn't see me, but or she sees me put my wetsuit back on. She's like, "You okay?" And I was like, like I wouldn't say I'm okay, but that's probably like, yeah, that's probably one of my worst experiences spearfishing is, like not only shitting my pants, but like it was up my back, it was on my shoulders, like it was so bad.
I sympathize with you, man. Like, yeah, I'm definitely the one of our group that's the shitter.
Right. And from now on, I'll never do a Farmer John, because I mean, like when we're in the Blue Water World Cup, Chase and I will just take off our bottoms of our wetsuits and just shit in the ocean,
So that's my funny story, right? Like here we are at Blue Water World Cup last year, and we the first year Jake and I went, we're a couple of freshwater local yokels. We're all about making spearfishing fun, right? Like everybody has done a good job of making spearfishing sustainable, and all the influencers out there right now are like catch, clean, and cook, and all the respect that's going to the fishes, and it's all well-deserved stuff. We agree. And, but man, I love the initial Youngbloods influencer, like the techno music and the just pow, 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 shooting fish. And it's like, yes, this is fun. And Aquatic Apes is hilarious. I love that guy.
All these so good.
Legends, right? All these legends. And so that's our motto is like, let's make spearfishing fun. And GR Tar, again, I keep referencing him in Red Tide Spearfishing. His famous quote is, whoever has the most fun wins. And that's the mindset he takes to every tournament, whether it's a world tournament or whatever. Whoever has the most fun wins. That is so true, man. We got to make spearfishing fun again. And this is my fun story at Blue Water World Cup. Bunch of local yokels. Me and Jake show up with Chase. Those two guys are from Utah. I'm from Colorado. We're the farthest from the ocean you can be, right? And here we are amongst the best divers in the world, and we're just having fun, and we're making fun of each other. And we did pretty good, right, Jake? I think we ended up like fourth.
No, I think we took third place that tournament.
Yeah, it was awesome. We had a great time. And hey, lo and behold, blue water tournaments are won from the surface, right? All these fish, these marlins and wahoos and sailfish, and all these big pelagics, the dolphin, mahi fish, they're all the top, 30 feet of the water column. Yeah, you might be in 3,000 feet, but 30 feet is where all the action is, right?
Yeah.
So this year is back to 22, and Jake and Chase, and we got another buddy from Wyoming to come down. We got another guy out of Washington. That's where Spiro King's from, Washington, to come down. And then I got another guy to South Dakota to come down. So we got 5 freshwater divers, 1 saltwater diver, and we had to make 2 teams. So now we show up, and the name of our team, year 1 was Just the Tip. So now year 2, we got just the tip. And then we got the next team, Just the Shaft. So we got Just the Tip and Just the Shaft. And we're in Blue Water World Cup, where all these serious spear fishermen are doing some great things. And this tournament format is really awesome too, by the way. And after I tell my story, I want to go into that tournament once. But I'm out spearfishing with Seamus Culhane at Shameless Mule at Dakota Signature Meats. He's a beef farmer and a bison farmer in South Dakota. And we're in Blue Water World Cup together. And this son of a bitch decides out of the middle of nowhere to pull his pants down and shit in the ocean without saying nothing to no one. And guess who's down current, swimming right up into this whole flock of brown trout, and they're bouncing off my mask. And I'm like, oh, what is this? And I'm pushing it away as I get closer to him. And I get up and I'm like, hey, do you see that marlin? And I see him pulling his pants up, and I'm like, you bastard. And I knew right what happened. And so that's how I swam through his shit in the middle of the ocean.
Hey, at least you got an amazing story to tell, man. That's the important part. That tournament sounds epic. What was the tournament then? Can you
this tournament's called Blue Water World Cup. It's run in La Ventana, Baja California, by an awesome outfit called Palapis Ventana. I know Noob Spiro, Shrek had him on, had Tim Hatler and Brock Kennedy talk about their destination. Those guys are world-class divers anyways, and they're living down in Mexico full time. And this specific tournament was started by Dennis Hostler, another athlete of the year and a legend, right, Jake?
Legend.
along with Greg Fonts at the free dive shop. They competed at the national levels, a super high national level. So Dennis Hostler, Mike McGuire, Brock Kennedy started this. These are all legends in the United States, right? And they started this tournament a bunch of years ago in Palopes Ventana, Baja California, where you're allowed only to shoot 6 fish a day, only 2 of the same species, all pelagic. So they're all very sustainable, rapid growing fish. And then they take the fish after you weigh them in. They donate the fish. Well, they sell the fish at a commercial market. It's the only time of the year that they sell the fish commercially that they shoot there. They sell them commercially, take the money, and the money that from the sale goes to support a playground in that little village. And they call it the Buzos playground, the divers playground. And so it's been going on for years. And so everybody goes down there. It's all for charity. It's all for good fun. We raise how much money? Like, I don't know. What did we raise last year, Jake? I mean, it was incredible.
$4,800.
Yeah, which goes a long way.
Yeah.
In
Mexico.
And so, yep, great prizes, tons of fun, all for the children. We eat amazing food there. These guys put on a real classy tournament. It's all like inclusive. The divers stay at the same casitas, the little houses together. It's very communal feeling. It's just very fun and networking. Great cause, great tournament setup. We eat all the food. Whatever we don't eat, we sell for a playground. I mean, how can you say that that's a negative, like at all? It's just great.
That's amazing, man. That's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man. We got a lot to take away from that. Do you guys want to shout out everything you did, where people can reach you? Who do they talk to about entering the tournament you guys are running? Just shout your socials, really.
Go ahead, Brett.
Okay, so I'm I'm online at the real Brett Leable. I don't do near the cool stuff there as Jake. But I'm also
you are taking all the pictures, most of them.
I'm behind the scenes. And because when Jake and I get to dive together, we have fun, right? And so sometimes it looks like a mini photo shoot, and we really ham it up. But also, I run National Freshwater Spearfishing Association at NFSA on Instagram, and then that's where we're advertising everything for our tournament. Our tournament, the format is going to be an app. It's all app-based. It's the iAngler tournament app. And once you download that, you select the tournament. You select NFSA's tournament. We'll have links and we'll have everything there. The website that we platform from is www.nationalfreshwaterspearfishing.org. And that's for NFSA. And we're taking volunteers if anybody wants to come to Worlds, but can't qualify or whatever. We need volunteers. We always need volunteers, and we'll put you up. We have a free place for everybody to stay and food to eat. If you come and volunteer after the tournament event, I'll take you on my boat and I'll take you where we dove. And this year I'm diving, I'm captaining a boat for Nicole Burko. She's on Team USA Women's. And her partner this year is going to be Matt Suter out of Las Vegas. And I believe truly that they have a great shot at winning. Our team is sponsored by Killshot Life, which runs a really great Instagram as well. So I want to shout out to those guys as well. And after the tournament, if you come and volunteer, get on our boat for a free day of spearfishing with legends like Brett Leable and Jake Lords. So there you go,
Epic,
Jake.
Man. And when's that tournament running?
Oh yeah, that's May 16th through the 20th. The comp days are the 18th and 19th. That's Thursday and Friday of May. Saturday's the banquet, and anybody's allowed to come to the banquet and win the raffles, win the prizes. If you happen to find yourself in the dusty little town of Page, Arizona, checking out Lake Powell, swing in to our banquet. Look us up, and we'll hook you up with some fun prizes.
Epic. And Jake, where can we reach out to you?
Yeah, so mine's mostly Instagram, a little bit of Facebook, but Jake Lords on Facebook, Big Jake Lords on Instagram. But yeah, anybody can, if they have any questions, I actually just had a guy from back east, like Pennsylvania area, and he's like, hey, I'm a big dude, I'm 6'3", 310 pounds. Zach Gill, yeah, he's like, dude, I need a wetsuit, like what fits you? And I'm lucky enough to be sponsored by Spear America. Shout out to Petros and his team for hooking me up and having me on their team. But he bought a wetsuit and a bunch of gear. So
that's epic, man.
Yeah, super great opportunity to be with them.
And you got a discount code. Don't you give all your fans and followers a discount code for Spear America?
You can use the code Big Jake for
I use it every time I order
for 10% off. We're thinking about, Brett wants me to change it to Kof, K-O-F, King of Freshwater.
Only redeemable. That code is only redeemable at the free dive shop in that's Greg Font in California. He's been a huge supporter of Freshwater, and he's been a OG original gangster tournament diver from way back out of California.
That's awesome, guys. You thank you for making so much time to come on and chat with us. I'm going to spank Anthony for ruining our first 5 sim later on. I was really looking forward to that. But it's epic. Honestly, guys, you're doing amazing stuff, and we're all for showing you guys out. And if anyone's interested, they should definitely check you out. I highly suggest they check out your Instagrams because they're awesome.
I really want to touch on that Instafluencer thing we're seeing, right? Like, everybody thinks you need to go out, dive deep, dive hard. Francisco Lofredi, he's Team USA's captain this year, and he's also been Italy's captain. He's out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and he's also in Florida. He touched on that on Shrek's podcast, just on this last podcast. And it's like, guys, listen to Francisco. He shoots so many huge fish with a 90 centimeter. He shoots giant 400-pound marlins and all this with a 90 centimeter. And he just does it by hunting hard. And he just hunts the depth he's comfortable, just like Jake. Jake's one of the most incredible hunters I know. Reach out to him. I know he's an Instafluencer or whatever. Don't be afraid. Reach out, say hi. He's a real person too. He's got a family and a job just like you and me. And besides shitting his wetsuit, he's a pretty great guy.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more. I've seen some epic posts on there about Jake climbing mountains and snow and shorts and all sorts. And to be honest, we could go on about it for hours. But guys, probably get you back on in the future. We've got so much more to touch up base on. And but thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. And I think me and Ben, we're gonna have to organise to go over the next year, man. Yeah, another trip, I reckon.
Epic. Yeah, really good, mate. Yeah,
let's go. Show you a good time. We'll hook you up with secret spots.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, be awesome, man. If I'm getting those world records, though, I don't know.
We'll get them.
Sweet. Cheers, guys. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Right. Catch you
later.
See
you guys,
dude. How good was that episode?
Yeah, it's really good. I hadn't looked at their Instagrams before, so I was like frantically Googling, like as you were introducing the guests,
just to show everyone how well we do our research.
It's been a busy week, all right. No, it's really cool. But they got some. Those fish are amazing, right?
Insane.
I mean, aside from like hilarious pictures, there's also some like amazing fish on there. I didn't know that you could really find fish like that in freshwater lakes. Some of those, I don't know what they are. Some lake trout.
Everything's
trout.
Bigger and better in America.
Lots of trout. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, also we didn't touch base with them about was their quality of their content. I mean, considering the way that they talk about like just taking pictures left, right, and center, their content is really bloody good.
Good, yeah. You could learn a thing or two there.
Yeah, I could. I'm not gonna lie. I'm literally the worst person with social media, right? And get this, I run the social media for our page, and I run the social media for the BSA. So how does that work?
You just have to stick your hand up, as I was for doing the BSA website as well. To be
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to get sacked at some point, I tell you.
No, it's not a job anybody else wants to do, don't you think? I think you do a good job for what it's worth, mate.
Cheers, mate. Well, I'm pretty pissed off with Anthony for wrecking our first 5 sim on the podcast.
Yeah, this isn't the first time this has happened either, has it?
Oh, mate, we're going to have a word with him, I reckon.
Yeah, I think so. We should find him.
Yeah. He's got to pay a forfeit, I reckon. What do you reckon the forfeit should be?
Don't know. You got any ideas?
We'll think of one and we'll come back to you next week.
Maybe we should ask the listeners.
Yeah, what's the forfeit that Anthony should what is Anthony's forfeit for missing another podcast on another episode? Let us know.
Well, that said, I'm away next week, aren't I, as well? So I don't want to have loads of things to do.
You two like part-time podcasters, are you?
No, sorry, mate.
It's all good. We do it out of the love of it, don't we? So it's what it's all about. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like honestly, hearing all the things that those guys are talking about in terms of their association, we really need to touch base with them because there's so much more we could be doing. But again, it's down to time, and time's valuable way. So
yeah, it is.
We try our best.
Would you go freshwater spearfishing? I'd never even heard of it because obviously it's completely illegal in this country, I guess.
Yeah. You can't. Yeah, don't. I'm warning everyone who listens to this podcast: do not shoot freshwater fishing in the UK.
Yeah,
I think even going in estuaries and stuff is like frowned upon, right? But
yeah, I'm not sure on the legality.
I'm not sure on the legalities, but it's
I shouldn't even comment on my thoughts because I'm going to get it wrong. But I did think it was legal as long as it's tidal, but people should look that up. Don't trust us.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, in terms of like being like, frowned upon, I don't know, but
definitely frowned upon. Yeah,
definitely do not go freshwater fishing, spearfishing in the UK.
Yep.
In terms, I don't know the legalities in other countries, and obviously that's something to look up for yourself. But it sounds like it would be really good fun, actually.
Yeah, massively. Yeah, we obviously have all free dived in Bobster and places like that.
Yeah.
And it is slightly different, isn't it? Different weighting, slightly different feeling. You get that cold kind of front. What do you call that? You get that
thermocline.
Thank you, thermocline. You get that in the sea, but not so much.
Yeah,
there's a difference there.
I'm not sure what the difference is because I'm not that sort of scientific. Yeah. I'm not. Don't know that much about thermoclines, but what I do know is I have seen it in a couple of places in the sea where it's happened, and you get like that sort of layer that he was talking about where the visibility disappears.
Yep.
And I've seen it obviously as everyone has at Bobster.
Yeah.
So you'll hit the thermocline, all of a sudden it just gets so cold. It's like really, really noticeable as well. It's not just a couple of degrees, like you really feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really odd, but it's interesting. It's really cool. I'd be really keen to actually try it and go over to America and participate. We did get an invite, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be able to make it this year because it's too short notice for us.
Does look like a real laugh, though, doesn't
but
it?
I would 100% be keen for doing it next year for sure.
Yeah. And
those
the
guys,
locations look amazing. I don't know if you.
The scenery, yeah. The scenery looks amazing, and those guys, the characters and everything. It'd be an awesome experience.
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, definitely worth checking out for sure. But yeah, so we don't know what's going on next week, but I'm sure whatever happens, we'll have a good one.
Figure it out, and hopefully we'll have some good news about our catches from the weekend. I don't want to jinx it.
You better touch wood, man.
Too late.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. No worries. Well, I'll catch you next week.
Yeah, mate. Good luck at the weekend if I don't see you.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. See you later.
See you later.
Bye.